Okay, welcome. This is basically, not basically, it is. This is like a regrade, for Dizzy Reindeers. I probably, it's probably like lesson learned if I do this again next year about like how many times people can submit. It's probably a good reflection if you turn in too early that it's more things might be able to be worked on. That seemed to be the theme, as far as I'm aware. I allowed it this year because I didn't want to, like, I don't know, be mean, but it was surprising. A lot of people turned their stuff in like first couple of days. I mean, I know, I knew that during sign up people were going to work on it then, and it was a piece that I had considered on how long people had to create something, and I was slightly worried about it, I guess. In its own fashion. But yeah, this it will also just a preference that he did return it in on time, that I know factually. But he also names this Dizzy G3. Also, the theme of it is Life of a Flower. The mod's appearance is inspired by Kuzu G3, which is, it's not too particularly like, I feel like it's overdone. Any inspiration of anything that's like a Kuzu G3, I failed to like convey this because I just didn't really feel like typing when I was talking to him at the time. But yeah, I just like this, anything Kuzu G3 is just like, there's so many of it that it feels overdone. Also, following the theme, we'll come back after it. The console of the mod, like books, the pen mod is meant to be read left to right. The grip design marks the roots of flowers at the very beginning. Then it slowly transitions into these beautiful flowers. This represents the prime bloom of the tree. Then the inserts starts to gradually fade away to black, representing the decline of the flower, which then continues into the dark cap shaded black cap shaded cap. Where the flower is at its final moments, then the cap finally ends at the black, which signifies the death of a flower. Think, not think, but let me read the rest. Oh yeah, this is so the same before, but let me read it just in case. 3 blocks of any balls, 3 blocks of super grips. Slide one down of the whole, oh yeah, say whole signal DX over the plastic G3 tip. Also, that's not even a plastic G3 tip. That's a plastic G3 sub from the Chinese version, I would imagine. Then overgrip it with 2 super grip blocks. 1 random grip, ring grip. And then 5 super grip blocks, flat part with flip. Then design cut into it. Into the signal DX grip, add a whole G3 grip with the squares cut off with a G3 tip inside the G3 grip, then overgrip with 3 any balls. Let me just zoom in for the love of God. I mean, if I'm inspecting this, there's a nick here. There was a nick on up top. That one's fine. There's likely a slight nick there. I know you recut it, and whatnot. And I know this body is, I know what this body's used. Also, I mentioned this in the other one, like, it's kind of a pet peeve that this is blue still. Not that that affects anything. I just like pointing stuff out here and there. And then it was a silicone straw with 1 ring of super grip inside the airball uniball cap. Let's see. One thing I did notice was that that I like failed to mention is that like this insert doesn't feel like, I know like you're trying to use like the tint of the cap to like represent how it's supposed to like fade away. But like one of the things that you probably could have done is like, I don't know, made the color like lighter, because this is like really vibrant, right? Um Also, I don't know how you managed to nick the corners where this is like bent and whatnot. Like you clearly took it back out apart. This is also another thing I should bring up. I also tend to use, for presentation purposes, um, I'll go out of my way to use like higher quality prints at like a third party, like just I don't know, vendor that I can like just print something to, because their printer quality is just better. Especially if I'm like presenting something specifically. Um, the cap clip cut still isn't what I would have. Oh, how would you describe it? It's not what. It's not as clean. It's not terrible. Um, that's probably about like what I would expect for most people to at least get to. But knowing full well that this is like tournament, like people probably should be standing a lot more than that. Like I'm sure the people who are competing probably have. I would assume it's like decent assessment to say that the people who decide to compete know how much sanding that I do onto a clip cut, and there are definitely tutorials out there on how to do so to make um, it look super clean and like practically almost manufacture cut. So that's also a piece that I should bring up. Also, yeah, he did replace the body. Oh wait, no, he didn't. Oh. Super deceiving. Anyways, either way, I really feel like that would have been better if you chose like a different design that fits in with it. When I'm doing like custom like inserts all the time, I've always noticed that like the art that I find out on the internet is just somewhat on par with what I want, if that makes any sense. It's always most of the design seems to always be just slightly too big to fit into a pen. While this one's is just fine. What I'm trying to get at is that if we're going to do a different design, like maybe not the same one if it's supposed to represent the flowers that are dying, because I like you can visibly see like if someone didn't read anything at all, wouldn't necessarily get it. Additionally, there's not there's another nick here. This seems intended. Yeah, that any ball seems intended. I wonder how many parts he used to cut into this. Also, I can't tell what that is. I don't know if that's like plastic skin, nick, something on the background. Let's see. Let's go back. Oh yeah, there's nothing there. Also, the name isn't does not. That's what I also forgot to mention. This is also something that I didn't like talk about like in the conversation. It was also late as crap for me, so I practically only sleep like 2 to 4 hours a day. Um, the name does not fit the theme. I understand that you're trying to name it after yourself. That's like a really big piece. Like it doesn't. The mod tells a story, but the name of the mod doesn't tell a story. That's also, I should explain, like that's exactly why some people scored higher than others. This is also like a slight wild card that I had put into the judging piece. But if we're going like in depth into the grading sheet, if you're talking about complexity, this isn't like It's not that it's not complex. It's complex that like you did a grip cut into it, and the aesthetics are nice. So if you're doing it by 5 and 5, um, it's around like 3 for both. It's not crazy complex, right? But the aesthetic is pulling it through, where it's also 3 on the aesthetic spectrum out of 5. But there's just no piece that like, remember when you make a pen, and also to mention that this is like very specifically my opinion, you want to make it seem like it stands out, and because this is an inspiration of the Kuzu G3, and it's something that like people would glance at this and be like, I've seen this before, probably, or it looks similar to stuff that I've seen in the past. That's the reason for a lot of like the point scoring. Also, you mentioned the cleanliness. I pretty sure it was like late. I put originality as 8. The originality is not supposed to be 8. Because I do a lot of Sakura themed stuff, and this is like the main flower of it. Um, so this is like super conflicting on like that part, because Sakura flowers don't really have roots. On a tree? I mean, like, it depends on how you see it. Like, the roots wouldn't look that way. I've done a custom insert for it before. It was a gathering insert, so I can't show it, unfortunately. But I had made a thing where it had my name behind it, and the tree branch was like this lightning effect, which is like from a different meaning behind like my name from the character that I took the name from, and that was the tree branch, was the like the lightning of it, and I added like the Sakura trees that way. Whereas this is just a Sakura themed background, and the final insert on the cap is like, how do I describe it? I would have rather have seen more petals than like a big flower, and this is like, and it goes back to the same thing where I said like this is just the same insert where you just like put it in the cap, even though you're using a tinted cap to represent that it's like dying. It's really like, it doesn't fit the name, and the story doesn't. There's it's not that the story doesn't flow, but there's like bumps here and there, right? It's not like super rocky, which is why, and there's no functionality, right? So the originality and functionality is supposed to be 6. Well, I can't nick too many things, so the cap is like obviously a point. It's already a point. Um, Even if it did half a point for here, and I let you retain points for redoing this, even though you did some in on time, I want to put that context out. Like, that's still 2 points, and that's like still 8, which still leaves you at 20, which puts you at a tiebreaker with neurotoxin. Where, and to explain that piece a little bit more, is that like I might have also seen mods that look similar to neurotoxin's mod, but there's a unique effect on the front with how he used like the rubber piece, where it's not commonly seen. It's actually quite annoying to figure out how to make, and I'm interested in making it. Whereas when I look at this, I don't feel as interested in making this, because like it almost reminds me. While it does remind me of several different G3s and a Kuzu G3, it also reminds me of like a piece of like Manoa's G3 and maybe a handful of other people's G3, and it doesn't bring me to want to make that pen, right? When you are creating a pen for a competition, you want people to really, really want to make that pen, right? And there's not a whole lot of cleanliness stuff for me to mark down. Like, you did cut all these, like, and it all feels and looks intended. And there are definitely nicks here, to which is why I let you keep the execution points for the cleanliness on this. Is what I had mentioned in the original recording. because I had so context. If I didn't somehow, I don't think I actually did mention it. So I graded the wrong PDF. Essentially, is why there's a regrade. But yeah, when you tie everything all together, that's why a lot of the categories land at 6, because the story and the originality of it is that like there's like bumps here and there, right? And then there's no function, which is already 2 points. So the bumps here and there is also another 2 points. That's why those are 6s specifically. But yeah, that hopefully that's better elaborated now. Because you were talking to me when I was 6 a.m. and I was about to get 2 hours of sleep for work as well. So I kind of just put like whatever, knowing that I was going to have to, knowing full well I was going to have to re-record a judging thing. But yeah, hopefully that like helps you get um hopefully that gets the point across. But yeah, that is the grading for his, and then yeah, we'll be announcing the winner here shortly.